Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you today. Well, today is a fun day. Today's Hump Day.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump.
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. Is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as I always like to say, the fun is always here. Wasn't able to make it. Do not know why, but I've got the thing up over here. So if he pops up, the internet gods are giving us a bunch of problems. We're going to have to talk to these folks. We're going to have to deal with these. Always make sure to run a speed test. It definitely ain't us. It ain't our interview stream. Gonna have to talk to those folks because anyway, no worries. Anyway, we're here. We're having a good time. Weekend hasn't been in order to, put my head down and get some rest. But overall, And before we get started, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors. And it looks like, hold it. It looks like we might have our good friend, Mr. Mike Pilwarski, or otherwise known as Mike Honcho, here to give us a quick shout out and give a shout out to our sponsors. Mikey, are you there, my friend? Mike, Earth to Mike. I don't know that Mike actually hears me, as I believe to be the problem, but well, we'll figure that out in a minute. Instead, what we will do is I will go ahead and I will give you a quick shout out to our sponsors. And I'm working on getting all my stuff set up right here. Bam, there we go. And there we go. And voila, we are on. Now we're going to start off with Hitman Industries. You see Mikey's right there. Like I said, I don't know if Mike actually hears us, though. So we shall see. Anyway, hey, Mikey, how you doing, man? No, he doesn't hear us. Anyway, Hitman Industries. Just go to hitmanindustries.net. Get your rifle and pistol caliber barrels today. Then also would like to encourage you to go to California Republican Assembly, working to help conservative Republicans to elective office at all levels, from dog catcher, school board, all the way up to President of the United States. Then, so visit them at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, join CRA. Then we've got Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. That's helping America wear guns. That's right. Go there. They got inside the waistband, outside the waistband, tactical, concealed carry holsters. Everything that you could look for in a holster, trust me, they've got it. Just go check them out. When you go to hogholsters.com, make sure you use discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today with a discount. All right. Finally, if you're looking for outdoor gear, whether it's cold weather, hot weather, wet weather, the best place to go is uscombatgear.com. They've got boots, they've got hats, they've got backpacks, they've got glasses, they got goggles. Trust me, whatever you're looking for tactical, they got everything but the gun right there at uscombatgear.com. And it looks like we've got Mikey back. Mikey, can you hear me? He does not appear to be able to hear me yet. Well, I guess that's just how it's going to work these days. So let's go ahead and get into today's stories, and we'll let Mike keep working on his sound issues over there. We're going to start off here with our first story. Skipping forward. DHS Secretary, the Department of Homeland Secretary, Mr. Mayorkas, has been impeached by the House of Representatives. Now, this was following an effort earlier where he, they tried and they fell a few votes short. Well, this time they did not fall short. In fact, in this case, they were able to, in fact, impeach him. And let's go ahead and pull up the story right here. Alejandro Mayorkas. Bam. Okay. It says here, Alejandro Mayorkas, House votes to impeach Homeland Security Secretary. It says the House of Representatives has narrowly voted to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, making him the first cabinet member to face impeachment in nearly 150 years. Many Republicans blame Mayorkas, many Americans, let me clarify, blamed Mayorkas for an unprecedented influx of migrants at the U.S. southern border. This is not an... Okay, this is BBC writing this, but not an influx of migrants. People illegally crossing the border. People illegally crossing the border. It's not an influx of migrants. It's people illegally crossing the border. Anyway, the Republican-led chamber voted 214 to 213 for a measure after the first attempt failed last week. The issue now heads to the Democrat-led Senate, where it looks doomed. President Joe Biden, on Tuesday, called the vote a blatant act of unconstitutional partisanship and a political stunt. So let's talk about that. One, is it unconstitutional? There's absolutely positively nothing unconstitutional about what they did. It was wholly constitutional because it's right there in the Constitution. Number two, was it partisan? You're darn right it was partisan. Just like and by the way, it was political. This is not supposed to be a political thing, but Democrats did that when they decided that they were going to impeach President Trump for no reasons. He called no crimes, no high crimes, no misdemeanors. He didn't engage in any of that, and still, they decided to impeach him. Well, guess what? In this particular case, I'll say this: his biggest crime was basically not securing the border or doing what Joe Biden told him to do. Because in the end, the person, in my opinion, legally, who should be facing impeachment for this is Joe Biden. What Mayorkas did was pretty much what his boss told him to do, which, by the way, was unconstitutional because he's not really. The problem is that his boss was telling him, don't enforce the law. That's what he's basically been telling him. But he has absolutely refused to not do so. And I'm checking out Mike. I'm going to send him a quick message. I don't think he can hear me at all. Let's see if he gets the message. There he goes. We see you, Mike. We can't. I hear you. Oh, he logged out. Folks, this is the fun part about being both in front of the camera and behind the camera at the same time. It just is how it is. But when you absolutely positively refuse to secure the border, you get what you get. When Democrats decided that they were going to make this process back to what it's supposed to be, which was to remove someone when they engage in high crimes and misdemeanors, well, then maybe stuff like this won't happen. But otherwise, they got what they got. Can you hear me yet, Mike? It does not appear that Mike can hear us yet. So we're gonna go ahead and move on, and I'll have Mike just drop me I'll have Mike go ahead and drop me a message when he can actually hear me. So anyway, let's move on to our next story. ICE is going to release thousands of border crossers. Now, I had a hard time understanding this because as we currently know it to be, what they're doing now is basically people are coming across. They're like, why are you here? They're coming to the border, whether they cross legally or whether they come up to the port of entry, and they ask them, why are you here? I'm here to seek asylum. Okay, go on in. And that's pretty much the process. I mean, it may take a little longer than that. They may ask a few more questions than that, but that's pretty much how they've treated between 6 and 10 million people who've come to our southern border during the Biden administration. So they're going to release thousands of border crossers and by the way, they're saying that they're doing this in order to deal with the budget? Really? Hold on. Let me pull up the story here for you. And this, now, mind you, this may have, well, hold on, I'll show this to you real quick. Okay. So here it says, ICE draft plan would release thousands of immigrants in order to cover budget shortfall. Okay, so first of all, what they're talking about here is a budget, is a draft plan, is what they're talking about here. So they're talking about a draft plan where they would be doing this. Let me go down and read a little bit further. It says Immigration and Customs Enforcement has drafted contingency plans to cut detention capacity and release thousands of migrants as a result, according to a source familiar with the plan. I'm still trying to figure out here exactly what that means, because they're already releasing them. They're already just letting them walk into the country. Anyway, I'll keep reading. It says the draft plan comes as ICE faces a dire budget shortfall amid stalled congressional action on the White House supplemental request. Now, the issue here is they want to continue to process people and let them just walk into the country. And Republicans are saying, no, we don't want you to just let them walk into the country. What we want you to do is we want you to keep them out of the country. We don't want more people to process people. We want people to remove people. Or how about this? Don't let them come in. That's not hard. You keep saying you want this supplemental. Well, your supplemental doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything that the American people want. What you want to do is you want to say, look, okay, we're just going to the dam is leaking. We want some money so that we can make the hole in the dam bigger. And what we're saying is patch up the hole in the dam. They're saying, well, we just want to make the hole bigger and fortify the dam, so that more people can just come streaming in. No, that's not what the American people want. And when you say you're just going to release them, I'm sorry, that's pretty much what you're doing anyway. And you put together this contingency plan, which sounds to me like a political stunt. That's actually because keep in mind, this contingency plan has been released now. All right. This contingency plan that they're talking about is now in the public. Right. And because it is now in the public, they know now we're like, oh, once again, it gives them a reason to blame Republicans. And that's really what this is all about. This is about creating an opportunity to blame Republicans. Their goal is to remake America by, repopulating it. I don't know. That's pretty much what they're trying to do. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let me check the comments section over here. See if anybody got anything to say. Dun dun dun. No one over there, and no one commenting over there. So y'all evidently got nothing to say about that. But once again, it's a major problem. It's a major problem because there is a cost, and there is a cost if you look at crime. Look at the crimes that are taking place in New York. Take a look at the crimes that are taking place in other places. If you look at the cost of, once again, allowing a largely unskilled labor force to come into the country with very, very little actual resources. You're allowing them to come into the country, and then what? Where you can come in not speaking English or not having job skills and do them. That a lot of the jobs that are available have some sort of training requirements. You have to have some sort of job skills in order to be able to engage in them. But I guess that doesn't matter. Nope, doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things in many of these folks' eyes. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, moving right along to our next story. ICE to release... Oh, I just did that one. Bob Alinsky identifies Joe Biden as the big guy. Now, you might remember Mr. Bob Alinsky. He's been around for quite a while. He's been on Fox News. He's been on Newsmax. He's been on OAN Network. But he's the one who basically came out and said, and basically identified Joe Biden as the big guy, right? He was one of the first people who was talking about, he was a business partner with Hunter Biden. They did a number of businesses. And in essence, what he has said is, look, we had a business. That business was selling access and influence. And Joe Biden was the product. Now, the interesting thing about this is that he refers to specifically a meeting in 2017. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly what that means, because 2017, he wasn't president. So I'm wondering, Was there something illegal about that, about him doing that in 2017? I don't know. But I'm also wondering, and I doubt the business started in 2017. The business likely started before then while he was still president. I'm sorry, while he was still vice president. And I think that's where the issue is. In fact, let's read through the story here just a little bit. It says Hunter Biden's ex-business associate, Tony Bobulinski, testified that Joe Biden is, quote, the big guy, and he said the president continues to lie to the American people about his involvement in his son's business dealings. So part of this is he's lying about his involvement in his son's business dealings. He said we never talked about it. He knew nothing about it. We now know he knew something about it. He said they never talked about it. We now know they talked about it. He said he never had any engagement with it. We now know that he actually spoke to a number of his clients and business partners. So, in essence, maybe you can believe that Joe Biden is a doddering old man who forgets a lot of stuff, or maybe he's just a liar. I'm leaning on both. But in this case, it's definitely on. Anyway, Bobulinski, who worked with Hunter Biden to create a joint venture, Sinohawk Holdings, with Chinese energy company TThe, and said he met with Joe Biden in 2017, provided unshakable testimony behind closed doors at the Oversight and Judiciary Committee on Tuesday. His testimony, which came as a part of the House impeachment inquiry against President Biden, lasted for more than 8 hours. That he personally met with Biden in May of 2017 in Los Angeles on the sidelines of the Milken Conference for somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. Fox News Digital first reported this meeting between Bobulinski and Biden in October of 2020. So now we're talking 3.5 years ago they were talking about this, right? Let's see here. Just days after, Joe Biden on May 3rd, 2017 spoke at the conference, hosting a conversation with the 47th Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden. Just days after the May 2nd, 2017 meeting, the now infamous May 13th, 2017 email, which included discussion of remuneration packages for 6 people in a business deal with a Chinese energy firm. The email appeared to identify Biden as the chair/vice chair, depending on the agreement with CEFC, in a reference to now bankrupt CEFC, China Energy Company. The email includes a note that Hunter has some office expectations. He will elaborate. A proposed equity split of 20 for H and 10 held by H for the big guy, with no further details. Bobulinski testified Tuesday that Joe Biden is the big guy. Did we doubt that? At any point, did we not know that was the case, that he was in fact the big guy? No, we all knew that, and we all always kind of knew that. Once again, what I'm looking for Republicans to do is show me where. It's 2017 that this particular meeting took place. What did he do illegally? Maybe I'm feigning ignorance. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but maybe y'all can let me know. If he did something, well, first of all, Hunter's supposed to be registered as a foreign agent if he's working with a Chinese energy company. That's number one. So if he's doing that, number one, that's probably something that he should be doing. And it sounds like Joe Biden probably should have been registered as such as well. And keep in mind, this is also months after he is no longer vice president. Anyway, want to see and hear about more. I want to hear more about this. But for people who say that there's nothing there, that there's nothing substantiating this, look, this testimony is backed up by Hunter Biden's laptop, which I'm wondering why Democrats continue to say there's nothing there when a lot of the foundational evidence to support a lot of this stuff is right on Hunter Biden's laptop. I don't get why they continue to talk about the fact that it's not there. Or that, anyway. On that note, skipped a little bit forward. Here we go. Last story. Chicago to decommission ShotSpotter. Now, ShotSpotter is a software that's used by a number of cities in order to identify or recognize when a shooting takes place, when someone fires off a gun. It's supposed to help them identify where that shooting took place. Well, now in the city of Chicago, they are eliminating, or they will stop using it, as has been reported by the media. It says, Mayor says Chicago will stop using the controversial gunshot detection technology this year. It says here, Chicago will not renew its contract with the controversial gunshot detection system, SpotShotter, and plans to decommission the technology this year, Mayor Brandon Johnson's office announced Tuesday. The system, which uses acoustic sensors and machine algorithms to detect and locate gunfire, which has been widely criticized by watchdog and public safety groups for its ineffectiveness and racial bias. Since 2018, Chicago has spent $49 million on ShotSpotter. The city contract with SoundThink, a public safety technology company that says its ShotSpotter technology is used in more than 150 cities and several U.S. campuses, expires on Friday. According to Johnson's office, the city will stop using the technology on September 22nd. Moving forward, the city will deploy its resources on the most effective strategies and tactics proven to accelerate the current downward trend in violent crime, the city said in a statement. Doing this work in consultation with community violence prevention organizations and law enforcement provides a pathway to a better, stronger Chicago for all. Tuesday's announcement also stands by Johnson's mayoral campaign promise to get rid of gunshot detection system. Community members and public safety groups have argued the investment in the technology is a waste of resources, and the city officials should work on other crime and violence prevention methods. All right, let's break this down real quick. So number one is where there tend to be a lot of people of color. Now, is that because the sound thing is only pointed at communities that have significant peoples of color? Is it because that it only acknowledges gunshots or sounds of gunshots or any sound that might be like a gunshot that are put forth by people of color? Or is it maybe, just maybe, that there are more shootings in communities in Chicago where there are people of color? It can't be the last one, because if it's the last one, then you can't say that's racially biased. See, this goes back to the one thing I said before. If an outcome of something is racially disproportionate, they automatically call it racist. How about there are underlying factors, like in this case, that's where the shots are happening? How about that? Maybe that's the thing it's actually measuring, and it has nothing to do with race. How about that? What's happening is they're upset because a disproportionate number of people of color are being arrested for shooting firearms, illegally firing firearms. Maybe that's because a disproportionate number of people of color are actually illegally firing firearms. What do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you that there are white people sneaking into the hood, shooting off firearms and running away, and then leaving the firearms in the hands of people of color so that they can be arrested and taken to jail? Is that what you want me to say? Explain to me how this software is racially biased. It's just not making any sense to me. And I'm assuming that if you are a reasonable, rational-minded person, it's not making any sense to you either. That's because it's a damn lie. It's not racially biased. The problem that they're having is that this software works. And we have a problem with the idea of people actually, well, I don't know, doing their job. I mean, if you want to prevent crime, how about you deal? Let's stop. When you focus on race, right? When you say it's all about race, that everything is about race and racism, then you never actually deal with the underlying problems. How about we stop focusing on race and we start focusing on the other? It's not the fact that people are recognizing that it's happening or that the technology is acknowledging that it's happening. It's the fact that it's happening. That's the problem. What's the underlying cause? Don't tell me poverty. It ain't poverty. Communities like this have been poor forever. I mean, I want to say that. That's probably not the right way to put it. What I have found is that we have had poverty around us forever, and yet for some reason the level of violence has increased dramatically. We've had guns around since the founding of our nation, and yet all of a sudden people engage. The problem is not a gun problem. It's not a gun problem. It's a people problem. And by the way, just so you know, it's not a people of color problem. It's a people problem. It happens to disproportionately affect people of color. We need to address that. I mean, we need to address all of it, but it's a people problem. Let's deal with the people problem. How about that? Anyway, moving right along, we're now on to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. Our first one here comes from, in the name of racial equity, we'll do this one first. This is Zuby Music as a nice little tweet from him. It says, people talk about wage gaps, income gaps, and wealth gaps, but they never talk about skill gaps, effort gaps, and talent gaps. Yeah, that's the reason why there are wage gaps, income gaps, and wealth gaps. Anyway, that's just me. And for those of you who are wondering about Mr. Joe Biden and his skill set, let's just say, back on the Daily Show, let's just say that Jon Stewart, he makes an interesting point here.
Now, Democrats will say that any criticism like this, especially of Biden, is unfair because you just don't know Biden like they know Biden.
President Biden, who I've been around numerous times just in this last year, is sharp, he's focused, he's bright.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
He's smart. He's on his game.
I was in almost every meeting with the president, and the president was in front of and on top of it all, coordinating and directing leaders who are in charge of America's national security, not to mention our allies around the globe.
Did anyone film that? Because if you're telling us behind the scenes he is sharp and full of energy and on top of it and really in control and leading, you should film that. That would be good to show to people instead of a TikTok where he goes,
and that's kind of pretty much what we get. Or, it's so bad. You know, it's bad when the late night folks, the liberal left wing comedians decide all bets are off. It's time to finally just call Joe Biden out for how he is, and it's all happening. It's all happening now, and here's just another example of it.
Biden was just, kind of initiatives of my father. Lost his job.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's
no joke. No joke. No one thinks it's a joke. Not
Yeah.
kidding around here. Come on, like the founding fathers proclaimed in the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that we deal with. That's the sort of stuff that we see. That's why you should film it, because what he just put out there is exactly what we see. I mean, dude did a TikTok video where all he said was "chaka. That's what we see of our president. And yet and still, you want us to believe that he's all cogent, that he's all fine, that he's kind. No, I'm sorry. And I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but here's the thing: he's 81 years old. He is the oldest president we have ever had, and if he gets reelected, he'll be the oldest person to ever start in the presidency. Look, 81 years old. First of all, this is the hardest job in the world for anybody. It is the most stressful job in the absolute. Decisions that are going to affect the lives of thousands, if not millions of people. It's a stressful job. It's a stressful job for a young man, let alone for an 81-year-old. And we are literally watching him deal with the consequences of the effect of that job. And come on, acknowledging that you are human, there's nothing wrong with that. But dude is human, and we're seeing it. We're seeing the worst side of it, because we're not just seeing him, we're seeing his ego get in the way of him being able to do what he needs to do. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. And with that, before we head out, I'm going to go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Hitman Industries. Just go to hitmanindustries.net, get your rifle org. Go to Hog Holsters, hogholsters.com. Use discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your hog holster today on a discount. And if you're looking for outdoor gear, cold weather gear, warm weather gear, tactical gear, go to uscombatgear.com. Folks, I apologize about all of the hiccups today. Once again, we've had a very, very bad signal over there with Restream. I'm going to deal with them. I'm going to deal with them as soon as I get off with you guys. And then Micah wasn't able to be here. But look, a fully recorded, because we record every episode, fully recorded episode will be up over at Spotify. If you're not following us on Spotify, go ahead and do that. You can either listen or you can watch it, and that'll be up there probably in about 10-15 minutes. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be hollering at you tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday.